Hi, let me quickly define a very big array. The size of the array is 1 million. Let me fill all the values by 0. Next, I'm going to define a context or a scope, and I'm going to use console.time because I want to be able to track how much time and this algorithm is going to take. The only argument that console.time takes is the time label that has to be unique. Next, I'm finding the sum by looping over this array. Now I'm going to use time end function, which requires the time label. This function will give me the time elapsed since the start of for loop. Now I'm going to print the sum. Let me rewrite the very similar logic, but this time by using array.reduce method. So here I'm using array.reduce method, which accepts one callback function, and this callback function has two positional arguments. First parameter is accumulator variable and second is the value of the array item. Now I'm returning the accumulator variable by just adding 1 to it. If I do not do that, I would not be able to find out the sum of the value. Returning a value is important. If I do not do so, I would not be able to calculate the sum. This return value would become an input to the next iteration. I also can provide some initial value. If I do not provide an initial value, then the first value of this big array would become the initial value that would be stored in the ACC variable. Now let's go ahead and the time with the proper time label or time name. I'm going to print out the total sum that we have calculated. Now let me open up the terminal and run the script. You see that the for loop took about 9 milliseconds, whereas the callback solution took about 65 milliseconds. So the normal for loop are approximately 7 to 8 times faster. And this thing is important because if you're working a very high performance application, that you must know the difference between a callback loop or callback functions and a normal loop. The callback function is taking more time because with each iteration it has to call a function. It also has to provide these two arguments and has to manage the return statements. All these operations take certain amount of time. Last, if I do not provide the initial value to this array.reduce method, then the first value of the array would become the accumulator value. So let me save this program and let's run this. Now you would see that the difference of 1.